ideas to the table, sorting through them and coming up with, we have right now 3 draft proposals on the table that still need more work. We need to look at them in terms of financial status, we need to look at them with greater stakeholder input, and then eventually governing board approval if we should move forward.
Also, Ms. Burns, if I may, Mr. McKay is also part of this committee, and back about a month ago or so, I did meet with him and Mr. Picarero to talk about his proposal and what he brought to the table, and so we have a PowerPoint that we've also shared and we have and we've taken into consideration. So he has, you know, in his council I know has been working together, so that's all part of the design that we love to have input from. This is just a more of a realigning as far as how are we going to serve these small satellite campuses per se. So how are we going to better do that? So the design as far as the implementation is going to have to come, and that's going to be a whole different phase.
Okay. I do, since we're running about 50 minutes late now, I think.
So just one more time on the decision-making
Okay.
process. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, President Burns.
I just
Okay.
wanted to understand.
This is the data that we utilized as the decision-making process. And so we're just going to quickly go through it. Federal and state data, our graduation rate that continues to go down, the students that do not stay put at Project More, their dropout rates, their cumulative passing rate, and then, so all of that data, and the grant requires that we make data-driven decisions. And so the data is extremely important. So here's the grant timeline, just, oops, that's okay. And you can see highlighted in yellow, we have to have our grant turned in by May 21st, just to give you an idea of what's been going on. There were a number of meetings and trainings about how to implement the grant, or write the grant, create the budgets, and turn it in. So,
can I ask, what precipitated the application for the grant, or wanting to pursue this grant, or do we have any choice?
We don't really have any choice. Here, and let me try to do my best to explain. There was a time when title funding was given to us in terms of enrollment, but now the process is different. Instead of just handing over title money for schools that need it, there is an application process. These are sub-grants that came from the state through the feds. And that's what we have to apply for, and we have to have a very specific budget for every school that has been identified. And we need to note that there are 12 Tier 3 schools that have also been identified.
Ms. Burns, members of the board, Ms. Schaefer. There's 3 myths I want to address tonight. The first is the most important, and that is that Project More is an underperforming school. Project More currently has a performing label under Arizona Learns. Yeah. Project More has always had performing labels under Arizona Learns. The federal government passed a new law. It came down through the states. The state of Arizona created a quick formula. It had ended up scooping up Howland-State and Project More and declaring them persistently underperforming when neither school had ever been named underperforming before. No student has ever failed to graduate from Project More because of their AIM scores. Every student that has completed the Project More curriculum has graduated and has passed the AIMS exams. Project More has a different mission. Its mission is to work with students that don't fit in the traditional box. Its mission is to take, as you've already heard tonight, students that have had issues in their lives that have caused them to fall behind. If we are to take Project More and turn Project More into a new school, it will no longer serve those students. The second myth I want to address is the myth that you're being required to make Project More a new school.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. For the same grant money under the transformation model without requiring any teachers to reapply for their grant. And the third myth I want to address is the idea that a new school is not a school closure. Project More is not a building, it is a group of people. Those people, those teachers, are the school.
Right.
Those teachers are removed, the school will be effectively closed and those students will be disenfranchised. Project More's been there for 35 years. During that time, it saved the students who are falling off the cliff. We have more and more students in our community that are falling off the cliff. If you remove Project More, those students will crash into the rocks, and it is not necessary. Please consider your decision tonight and think about the kids. Thank you so much.
Going to reconvene our special board meeting. And the first item is item number 7, declaration of new school status for Maximum Middle School. We've been presented with this now. Is there, board members, is there a motion or is there a discussion? Dr. Mr. Burke.
I'll defer to Mr. Burke. Well, I would like to move approval of the declaration of new school status for Maxwell Middle School at this time.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion on this item? Dr. Stegman?
So what does this require in terms of replacing teachers? Is it true, as one of the speakers said, that we cannot rehire more than half the teachers?
No, sir. Ms. Burns, that is one of the models that we are allowed to select is the turnaround model, and then you're limited to 50%. The transformational model, you can hire as many teachers as you like back.
So all must reapply and all could be rehired?
Technically, yes, sir.
I mean,
Yeah,
legally.
right, exactly.
Well, I apologize for making too many remarks on the information item. And,
Excuse me, I think,
No, it's fine.
Dr. Lewis, did you have something to add?
oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just want to make sure I was absolutely accurate.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
Under new school status for TUSD, we can hire all of them back under the alignment of the state standards. Correct. You are correct.
All right. So, as I say, I spoke a little bit out of turn before when it was just an information item, and I said most of what I had to say at that time. I had been addressing some comments that had been made to us in this letter, and I'll just refer to a couple more of those because I think they make points that are important to make. Another point which this person made is, quote, "It seems more and more political than ever." And I think that's a perception that's been common in TUSD and may have had truth in it. I wasn't on the board then. I can say I certainly don't feel I'm under political pressure to make this closure. As far as I can tell, excuse me, this new school, yeah, I guess maybe I'm a little, yeah, I don't know, it's Tuesday is too early to say, it's been a long week. To make this this new school designation, I hope that we're not making decisions that way anymore. I feel, as far as I can see, this is a data-driven decision. The third comment that was in this letter I want to mention is, quote, "So many parents I speak with want to take their students out of TUSD." And that certainly has been a problem. We've lost a lot of students, but not out of all of our schools. So we do have schools that are losing students, and we have schools such as Wharton, which we heard about earlier this evening, where parents want to bring their students, their kids. And I think one of the most important pieces of information the board gets when making information about schools is the revealed preferences of parents. And so